The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel as written to us by Matthew. When the Magi had departed, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Rise, take the child and his mother and flee into Egypt, and stay there until I tell you. Herod is going to search for the child to destroy him." So Joseph rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed for Egypt. He stayed there until the death of Herod, that what the Lord had said through the prophet might be fulfilled, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." When Herod had died, the angel of the Lord appeared in a dream and said to Joseph, "Rise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead." He rose, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was now ruling over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go back there. But because he had been warned in a dream, he departed instead for the region of Galilee. And there he went, and he dwelt in a town called Nazareth, so that what had been spoken through the prophet might be fulfilled: "He shall be called a Nazarene." This is the gospel of the Lord. So although we celebrate the Feast of the Holy Family, the patronal feast of our parish, we must be honest and admit that the Holy Family, as we know it, is rather hard for any of us to imitate. After all, the boy was the Son of God, the mother was a virgin, and Joseph disappears early in the scene. The thought was that he must have died very young. So what might this say to us? Obviously, we believe that they would have been loving and faithful people, but I think I would draw most of my few remarks from the second reading, where Paul talks about loving and forgiving one another. Brothers and sisters, if we are to be holy families, and that is certainly our hope and desire for all of you, for all of us, then it really, after all is said and done, comes down to the capacity that each one of us has developed to know how to love. And that is the supreme work of your entire lifetime. Love is a science. Love is a discipline. Love has to be at the top of your daily priority every day, or you'll lose it. Because we're naturally inclined toward being self-centered, egocentric. As they say today, we all think it's all about me. And until that basic egocentricity is overcome, none of us even get to the first grade of love. And it comes down, very frankly, to a willingness to say, "I'm sorry," to a willingness to admit when you're wrong and ask for forgiveness, which comes with great difficulty to most people. Most people cannot admit they are wrong. Now, if you just start with that, love's never going to happen. Because you don't love someone who can never admit they're wrong. They're too proud, they're too self-sufficient. Why would you give your heart to someone who's going to stomp on it or not give it back? After the willingness to admit we're wrong, to apologize, to ask for forgiveness, which is love 101, I think the other more positive need or desire is simply, and it seems so simple, to say thank you as often as possible. To know that everything that's given to us, you don't deserve it. We live in a country that is very, very entitled. Americans think they deserve everything. If I hadn't traveled to so much of the world, most of the world that's poor, and met people who don't think they have anything or have a right to anything, only in contrast to that do you see how really spoiled we are. And so we've forgotten how to say thank you, thank you, thank you to your wife, to your children, to your God, to your neighbor, to the checkout girl at Kmart. Those little smiles, those little thank yous cost so little. And yet, usually, you and I are so trapped inside of our own agenda, our own anger, our own hurts, our own fears, that there's no energy left over to smile at the checkout girl at Kmart. She's just doing her job, and I'm just rushing through. More than anything else, love takes an ability to be present. And that's work. To really be right here, right now, in front of this person and out of myself enough to feel their feelings instead of just mine. That's heroic for most people. They're so trapped in their own feelings, they cannot imagine what my wife is feeling now, what my husband is feeling now. To put myself, as we say, in their shoes. That's the beginnings of love. And you know what? As simple as it sounds, that takes work. And I think a high percentage of people never get there. So we're not going to have holy families if we don't have people who quite simply know how to love. So make that, brothers and sisters, your art form, your science, your daily decision, because it is a decision. It's not a feeling. Love is a decision. You know that after the honeymoon. The feeling can't be sustained. Finally, you have to choose. I am going to love him. I am going to love her. And to do that, you have to draw upon a love that is much bigger than your own, that we would call the love of God. But the good news is that eternal and perfect love is always available, always given, and always free. So, brothers and sisters, if we are to celebrate today our patronal feast of the Holy Family, my prayer is that this Holy Family parish can be filled with many holy families who know how to love one another.